Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the United States Grace Force. We're here with my buddy Doug Barry, and we're talking about some pretty serious stuff right now. And right now in this segment, we want to talk about something that occurred recently. Again, we were talking in the last segment about everything that's going on in the Vatican, of course, everything that's going on in the world, and we were referring to an article that appeared recently on the National Catholic Register, and it talked about four exorcists. Here's the title of it: Four exorcists urge day of fasting, prayer, and reparation on December 6th. And I'll just read this short beginning part. They wrote, these exorcists, in light of recent events regarding the Pachamama ritual in the Vatican Gardens, the subsequent procession of the idol into St. Peter's, as well as placing the idols in Santa Maria in Trespontina Church, we are reminded of the words of St. Paul. Do I say that what is offered in sacrifice to idols is anything, or that the idol is anything? But the things which the heathens sacrifice, they sacrifice to devils and not to God. And I would not that you should be made partakers with devils. And so what's happening, and Doug, I'm going to share this, that I actually was contacted by one of these prominent exorcists about all of this, and I actually I'm probably the instigator of how that article got in the register. He reached out to me. First of all, we've kind of become pretty good friends, but he knew too that we had this. Using the words of the last segment, the 1%, I call them right now, but this Grace Force that has over going on 58,000 people. We're almost getting as big as one of the branches of the actual military, and also the Holy League of Nations, where we built that, and all these countries too. So we just knew that I had a reach to get really devout, believing in miracles, faithful people in prayer. Here's why: because there's a lot of demonic activity going on. He had an incident with one exorcism that he had, that actually the demons started talking about specific situations in specific places. He went to another exorcism, and in a completely different person, didn't know each other, and the demons started saying the exact same things, okay, which startled him. Then all of a sudden he gets contacted by about 4 or 5 other exorcists who were reporting the same thing. They're discerning that there is a very powerful evil going on, and some of it might even be inside the walls of our church. But they also discerned that it's so powerful because the kind of satanic rituals they're doing are also ones that actually ask for added protection. Okay, so it's a very mighty, very difficult demon to cast out. They're going to do their thing as exorcists, but they need the world praying with them. And they chose this December 6th as a day. It's the next First Friday. We believe that he believes that we need to call out to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And if you read the article from the National Catholic Register, it actually points to 2 specific things that he wants us to do: the act of consecration of the human race to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, and the act of reparation to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. But along with that, to say a rosary that day, to do some form of penance, such as fasting, abstinence, or other forms of mortification, and then also then pray the act of consecration, the 2 prayers. But then if you feel you're called to it, they ask that also there's a holy hour in front of the Blessed Sacrament that day, and they attend Mass that day, offering the merits of the Mass for this intention. Okay, and so that came out just recently, and that's a big deal, I think, don't you?
Oh, Father, the fact that our Lord Himself makes clear in the Synoptic Gospels, the 2 where He speaks of when the father comes and says, my son is possessed and he falls into fire and water and your disciples could not cure him. And it's one of those moments where if anybody for a moment ever thought that Jesus was just an easygoing hippie, which I know a lot of people reduce him to in their minds, how he responds here is completely dispels that. He says,
Right.
how long must I endure you? How long
Right.
must I be around you?
Right.
And he says, bring the boy to me. And he casts out the demons. And when they come to him and say, why couldn't we do this? He gives two different answers in two different gospels. In one of them, he says, because cases like this, so actually one, he says, because of your lack of faith.
Right.
Okay, your lack of faith. Right?
Yep.
And you correct me if I'm wrong.
But then he goes on to say, listen, if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you
Yeah,
can say
that's
to this mountain, move from here to there, and it'd do it. But then the other gospel, go on.
Yeah, the other gospel, he says, cases like this, certain demons need to be dealt with more prayer and fasting.
Right.
So, and you can speak to this better than I can, Father, as a priest, that this is really what the U.S. Grace Force is all about. Why I made the pitch at the beginning of the show. We're trying to grow the ranks. We need that 1% you were talking about to really, number one, have faith in what's going on here. You gotta believe it's supernatural.
Yeah.
Anytime
he's asked to perform a miracle, for somebody to ask him to get a healing, he says, do you believe I can do this?
Yeah. Yes.
And then after he does it, he says, it's because of your faith that this happened.
Yeah.
So belief is absolutely integral to experiencing prayer, answered prayer and miracles.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a test. I mean, he tests the depth of that belief extensively. One of my favorite stories is the hemorrhaging woman. And this is when Jesus is on his way to Jairus' daughter, who's 12 years old. And there's got to be some significance to the fact that she's 12 years old and the woman's been hemorrhaging for 12 years. And she's exhausted her finances, it sounds like, with doctor after doctor, and it's only gotten worse. She sees Jesus. She says, if I just touch the hem of his cloak. And she does, and the blood flow dries up immediately. And our Lord's response is, who touched me? As if he didn't already know.
Right.
But he's testing constantly. And Peter and the others say, well, you're hemmed in by everybody. You're being touched by. He says, no. Healing power has gone out of me.
Right. That's amazing when he says that. Because what does it infer? Power came out of him and went into her.
Yeah. And her faith was a way it was so strong. She even got nervous. It says, and he says, no, your faith has done this. You're right. That faith is everything. But then on top of that, the personal ownership of this battle that we're in, this fight against the diabolical, that my body can become a weapon for God to use if I just submit to deeper prayer, which is an act of the will and an act of the heart and the soul. And it's and also that I mortify my senses and fast and some sort of sacrifice. Like I say this all the time, Father, when I do men's talks. I say to anybody out there, especially you men, ladies too, I don't think a day should go by if you're married and have a family. Every day I fast in some way, shape, or form for my wife and kids. And that's not a bragging point. I'm just trying to say it to encourage. Maybe I'm eating half of what I would eat for lunch. Maybe I'm skipping lunch. Maybe I'm not going to eat breakfast. I'm going to wait till my first meal is going to be at 2 p.m. Or maybe I'm going to skip my dessert I'm going to have 1 cup of coffee instead of 3, which is penance for the people around us when that happens, not having our coffee. But you know what I'm saying? Every day do something that mortifies the senses and puts you and allows you to use your body in these ways as a spiritual weapon. By God's grace, you're cooperating with God on this. And Father, it sounds to me like, boy, if we get enough people together, people respond. Like this show we're doing right now, this is a very important topic. From Sister Agnes Sasagawa's part at the beginning to what we're talking about now, to the third segment, which is going to be amazing for people who are, don't leave. We got an amazing segment at the end coming up. If you're watching or listening to this right now, you need to share this with 20 people. You need to post it. You need to get it out there because this is a call to arms. All hands on deck. Man the guns. Man the battle stations. We are under attack like never before. Exorcists are pointing this out. Father, you've been pointing this out for a long time. Our Lady has been pointing it out. The Queen of prophets, the Queen of martyrs. We have been told over and over, we need more men and women who are willing to really commit to this fight.